Hello YouTube, Dylan the Shaddoll Duelist here, back with some more Duel replays for you guys to enjoy. Now, today I am bringing you, obviously, Shaddolls, because I always bring you guys Shaddoll deck replays. However, this is a Shaddoll deck utilizing the brand new Dragma archetype coming out of Rise of the Duelist, which is honestly shaping up to be one of the best sets we have had in a long time. I'm actually thinking of doing an in-depth review of Rise of the Duelist, so be sure to stay tuned for that video. But for now, we're going to go over Dragma Shaddoll versus a few other decks I decided to bring to show. So, first off is going to be Dragma Shaddoll versus Magical Musketeer. And you guys know how Magical Musketeer work. They're a stun deck, and they're actually, honestly, they've just got better over the years, especially with their Link monster. So, Magical Musketeer is definitely a pretty interesting deck to play against. So, he goes first and does nothing, which seems really weird to me. He could have at least summoned the Starfire. I know he didn't have a lot to work with at the moment, but he could have at least summoned the Starfire and had a negate on board, so I don't know why he didn't do that. So I am going to Shaddoll Fusion, which he is going to Ash, which is unfortunate. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to set Wendy and set the Super Poly. At this point, I don't know he's playing Magical Musketeer. I just figured throw it down because Dark and Light are some of the most common attributes in the game. My hand really doesn't facilitate much else. I have the Maximus Dragma in my hand, Shaddoll Dragon, and Nemesis Corridor. I'll go over all of these choices once we go through the deck list. So he is going to draw. He is going to summon the Calamity, which I am going to immediately fuse off with Super Poly. I'm going to chain Construct and Wendy to get myself a Beast on the field while sending Falco to the graveyard to get some more field presence. And he just stops. I'm not sure why. He has the double summon. He could have at least, in my opinion, activate a double summon, get the Starfire on field, and have a negate. Especially now that he knows he's facing Shaddolls. That negate is super important. So, I am going to flip over the Beast, which he is going to Veiler. Not a problem. Not really the worst thing to ever happen. So I'm going to flip up Falco and get Wendy back. And then I am going to link off the two flip monsters for Construct, the Link Construct, go into a second El Shaddoll Construct, and get Ariel on the field. And then I'm also going to send the Incarnation to the graveyard. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Link Construct's effect to send Construct to my grave in order to bring it back. And then, sorry if I can get rid of this. And then what you can see I'm going to do, I can add back the Shaddoll Fusion, and I'm going to banish my Construct in order to summon Maximus Dragma. Now, what Maximus Dragma does is you can special summon it by banishing a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster from your graveyard, and then special summon it. And then what you can do is you can send two monsters with different names from your extra deck to the graveyard in order to make your opponent send two monsters from their extra deck to the graveyard. Now, Dragma are they hate on the extra deck, but certain decks that rely on the extra deck can actually use this, and Shaddolls are one of them, and it's all thanks to us getting Apcalone when we got the structure deck. The fact that this card goes one step further than the rest of our fusion monsters by allowing us to add a Shaddoll card from our deck to our hand and then discarding a card. I know a lot of people are running Apcalone and Ruck in Invoked variations of this. However, I just want to say that I feel like there is a lot more potential than people are giving a full dedicated Shaddoll Dragma deck to. Anyway, so we are going to send the Apcalone and the Bastard the Ashen Dragon to the graveyard. This will net us a search immediately, and this will net us a search at the end of the turn, and I'll show you just how exactly. So we're going to get rid of the Shaddoll Dragon. And then we're going to flip up Ariel, which will bring back our banished Construct, and we'll finish off with so we're going to set Ruck and then attack with Dragma, Construct, and Construct. And then as you can see, we're going to add the big boss monster of the Dragma archetype from our deck to our hand using Bastard Dragon's effect, and that is Cardinal of Dragma, or of Dogma. I guess, are they changing the name to Dogma? I have no idea. Tetradragmaton. This card is basically Construct, where if it attacks a special summon monster, destroy as many special summon monsters that are in attack position on your opponent's side of the field, and inflict 800 points of damage for each Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster. So it's a better construct that you have in your main deck. So it's almost like running 4 constructs, because I am just running one of this because of its summoning restrictions. So he is going to summon the Calamity and finally activate Double Summon, getting him his second Calamity back. And this is unfortunately, like, guys, this is going to unfortunately lead to my demise, because I do attempt to summon another construct to send Utopia Double to the grave, but he is going to manage to negate that, and I am just going to lose due to Utopia Double Cheese, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? So, there we go. Just a fun little, I lost to Magical Musketeers. Here we have versus Salomon Great, which a lot of people are still really enjoy, which is totally fair. And if you guys remember in the early stages of my channel, I really was focused on Salomon Greats because I thought they were a great archetype, and they did turn out to be amazing. I just kind of lost interest in the archetype, unfortunately. So he is going to do the standard Salomon Great plays here. And I have an okay hand. It's not the best, especially since I'm not running any Salomon Great targets in my extra deck, so I don't really have a easy way of getting Super Poly. Use of Super Poly. So as you can see here, at the end of the turn, I did summon Fleur de Lis, the Dragma Knight. If there's a special summon monster on the field, and this is a quick effect, you can special summon him from your hand, and if you have a Dragma monster on the field, he can actually negate the effects of one face-up monster on the field, which is fantastic. So I am going to attempt to activate Disciple of the Nadir, which will get negated. That's fine, because I already have my main target in my hand, which is Ecclesia, the Dragma Saint, which I am going to special summon. He is going to Dragma Rage, which will get rid of Wendy and Fleur de Lis, but he is just going to actually end up activating Wendy, which is fantastic. I'm going to get Shaddoll Hedgehog, and I am going to search another Fleur de Lis, which I can now activate, and I'm just going to negate Sunlight Wolf and run it over with Fleur de Lis. And as you can see, the attack gain that you get from Fleur de Lis is permanent. So I'm going to summon a construct here off of Shaddoll Ruck, which is our Trap Fusion spell, which is amazing. Especially, it has such amazing synergy with Dragma that people are running quite literally, as I mentioned, just that small engine in the other Dragma decks, just because you can summon a Winda on your opponent's turn and disrupt them. It's fantastic. So as you can see, he does just quit here because there is a 3,000 Fleur de Lis on the field. You have Ecclesia. I do have a Shaddoll Hedgehog. So if you were to run it over, or or at least even attempt to destroy it, I do get some pluses off. If I can flip it, I get my Shaddoll Fusion. There we go. So that was the Salomon Greats. Now we have Plunder Patrol, which just is getting some new support in the TCG release of, I believe it is Eternity Code. So, honestly, and I've always liked Plunder Patrol. I think they're definitely an interesting concept. Definitely an interesting way to use the extra deck, kind of like how Dragma is, except they focus on cheating out their Xyz and their Synchro monsters, basically. And so he's going to activate, these are some of the new cards, Bluebeard and Redbeard's not a new card, but it's, Bluebeard definitely is. So I am going to normal summon Ecclesia and get a search off. He is going to activate Summon Limit and summon his Plunder Patrol ship Liss. I am going to negate the search with Ash Blossom and get my Fleur de Lis on the field and negate Liss's effect. I'm going to get the attack gain and just run over his monsters. And now I do have a Shaddoll Fusion in my hand and a Shaddoll Ruck face down and a Shaddoll Ruck in my hand, which is whatever. And then I'm running a spicy tech here, since all the Dragma monsters are spellcasters. I am attempting Witchcrafter Golem Aruru, which, as you can see here, works pretty well, as I am able to summon her with her effect and bounce a card back. I'm going to get the Shaddoll Fusion here now for Construct. Going to destroy his summon limit with Dragon, as well as be able to pitch Wendy for another special summon. We're going to summon our Shaddoll Beast here, and then just kind of do our thing. And as you guys can see here, I used Fleur de Lis's effect to boost Ecclesia up to 2500, the same as Bran, and because Ecclesia can't be destroyed by battle with special summon monsters from the extra deck, so I was able to run into it and not take any damage. And as you can see here, I was just able to close out the game. This deck, honestly, guys, Dragma very well may be the key to making Shaddolls like a really powerful meta contender. Yes, we have the Invoked variant right now, and yes, we have people running Invoked Dragma. But I truly do believe, thanks solely almost to Apkalone and an extension Ruck, that the Dragma variant may be the best variant we've had in a long time. So next off, speaking of Invoked Dragma, we have Shaddoll Dragma versus Invoked Dragma. And I think he's running a bit more of a Shaddoll engine than most, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure about that. I wasn't able to obviously see his entire deck, so he's going to activate the Meltdown, add the Alistair, get the Invocation through Alistair, summon the Almirage, secure Gardna, going through all of that, gets the Mechaba on the field, and the Alistair back in hand, with then searching for looks like a Fleur de Lis. He is going to activate Dragma's effect, which actually works in our favor. And here's another thing. I feel like Shaddolls are not as bothered by Dragma's extra deck hate as some other decks, because we have Apkalone, and so in the mirror match, you can sort of use it to your advantage by getting free searches off. So I am going to send Apkalone and also Elder Entity Entis, which is an amazing card in this deck, to bait out some negates and just see if I can destroy anything. So I am going to activate Entis first. He is going to negate. I will use that opportunity to get my Fleur de Lis on the field, though, and I do get the search off with Apkalone, thank you. And then I don't know why. Oh yeah, so I do destroy the Magical Meltdown with Shaddoll Dragon, and he is going to search off the Ecclesia with Bastard Dragon at the end of his turn, which is fine. He gets the search off. I'm in a pretty decent spot here. I'm going to use Maximus's effect to summon itself by banishing Apkalone. He is going to activate Rooks to get Wenda on the field to attempt to stop me after I'm summoned Maximus, which is fine. I'm going to use Maximus's effect, or not, never mind, because it gets negated. So I am just going to attack over his own Maximus Dragma with my Fleur de Lis, and then I'm just going to Super Poly, because that was the plan. I would have attacked over Wenda if it hadn't been for the fact that I did have Super Poly on the field. So I am going to summon Construct. He's going to summon his own Construct. I'm going to pitch Wendy to get my Shaddoll Dragon on the field, and he's not... Oh no, he does send the Maximus to the graveyard with Rux. So as you can see, he's sort of popping off here. He's attacked over Fleur de Lis. I do get my draws off here. And I pitch a card, easily pitch a card. He does attack, I believe he attacked Construct with Mechaba. I'm not sure why, truth be told, but it does get destroyed. So I am going to use my Shaddoll Fusion. He is going to activate Dragma Punishment here, which is fine, as I will get to add cards back, and I do get to destroy his own Rook with my Dragon. He is going to Solemn Strike it, however, so actually he Solemn Strikes the second Construct, trying to add the Shaddoll Fusion to my hand. I am going to summon, and this is why I am running Nemesis Corridor. You guys, you go through a lot of your resources in this deck, and you're banishing a lot of it too with Ruck. So I believe if you're running Ruck, you need to be running a Nemesis card to recycle your monsters, and Corridor is the best one, not only because Yes, before Colossus got banned, it gave us instant access to Colossus, which was amazing. Am I glad it's banned? Yes. Do I wish we could have had the chance to abuse Colossus for a bit? Also, yes. I digress. It's the best of the smaller Nemesis monsters. It's the strongest of the smallest ones, allowing you to get over to material, Goddess of the Bow. I totally forget her name right now, but you know who I'm talking about. So I'm going to summon that and then special summon the Ecclesia, allowing me to search my Cardinal of Dragma, whatever it is called, and summon him by banishing all of his extra deck monsters in the grave, plus one of my own, and I just win, because I have this guy, which can blow up all of his monsters, and then Corridor, Construct, and I do have a Ruck for next turn. So, as you guys can see, this even beat out the Invoked variant. Does that mean it's the best variant? I don't want to say yes, but I do feel like it is, honestly. So, now, here is the deck list. 3 Ecclesia, the Dragma Saint. She is your Stratos of the deck, basically. She special summons herself if there's a monster from the extra deck on the field, and it's not necessarily your opponent. You can summon her if you have any of your extra deck monsters on the field. Super important card, definitely run 3 of. I'm running 2 Fleur de Lis, the Dragma Knight. It's easily searchable with Ecclesia, easily able to special summon itself, provides potential monster negation, and beefs up all of your Dragma monsters with a permanent 500 attack boost. What's not to like? I am running 1 Maximus Dragma. And the reason I'm running only 1 Maximus Dragma is due to the fact that you need to have an extra deck monster in your graveyard. So I feel like running her at 2 or 3, you may have even seen it in the last game. My opponent opened up with 2 Maximus in his hand, and that's sort of like, he was able to use it to his advantage because he was playing the Invoked variant, but in this variant, I think 1 is the best. You want her a bit later on down the road when you do have some extra deck monsters in your graveyard, because her effect is super powerful. Being able to send 2 of your extra deck monsters to the graveyard is amazing when we have Apcalone, Entis, Bastard. It's amazing, so you definitely want to run this. And then 1 of the Cardinal Tetra Dragmatron. As I kind of mentioned before, he's almost like running a 4th version of Construct. That's better. Higher attack, destructive, gets burn damage. Now, originally I was running 2 Chaos Dragon Levianeers since you are running Lights and Darks. However, in testing and playing, I saw that you really don't get the chance to summon it. So I decided to switch out 2 of the Chaos Dragons for Albus Vanilius Felius. This card is super poly on legs. If this card is normal or special summon, you can discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. That's any fusion monster from your extra deck, using this card on the field and monsters your opponent controls as fusion material. Now, obviously, it's not as powerful as Super Poly, but it's still up there. In mirror matches, you can use this to out Winda, to get your own Winda on the field. You can summon Bastard the Ashen Dragon, because it requires Albus and a monster of 2,500 or more attack. It's an interesting card for sure, and I'm just testing 2 of it out. We'll see how it goes. I definitely want to improve on this deck, because I plan on making this once Dragma do come out to the TCG. So 3 Wendy, onto the Shaddoll side, we're running 3 Wendy, 2 Dragon, 1 Beast, 1 Aerial, 1 Hedgehog, and 1 Falco. This is at the current moment my favorite kind of core number to run. I typically go between 2 and 3 Wendy no matter what. 2 Dragon because it's back row removal. 1 Beast because it is a level 5, so it does kind of provide a brick. And then these guys are all just always 1 of. And then, yeah, the 1 Witchcrafter Golem Aruru, it's an interesting card. Being able to bounce, being a compulse on a 2800 body, that's able to basically protect your spellcasters. And like I said, all of the Dragma monsters are spellcasters, plus you have Apcalone and Winda, which are also spellcasters. So it's definitely, there's definitely some synergy, and I know Aruru has been tested out in more Winda control decks, but I do feel like she has a potential niche in this deck. 3 Ash Blossoms, because I like Ash Blossom, and then the 2 Nemesis Corridor for recycling. Onto the spells and traps, we have 3 Disciple of the Nadir, which is your other search card. It sends a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, then you can add a Dragma monster or Albus Vanilius Filius from your deck to the graveyard with attack less than or equal to the sent monster. So what you're mostly going to do, and then also it locks you out of your extra deck for the rest of the turn. So what you do is you use all of your extra deck, you do all of your extra deck plays first, and then you activate this card, pitch an Apcalone, pitch an Entis, pitch a Fossil Warrior, pitch a Bastard the Ashen Dragon, get yourself an Ecclesia, get yourself a Fleur-de-Lis, get yourself a Maximus, whatever you need. And that's the thing, this can pair really well. Like, let's say you already have Ecclesia in your hand, use Disciples to add Maximus. There is your monster in the graveyard in order to special summon Maximus, and then boom, there's another 2 cards. Let's say you send an Apcalone to the grave with Disciple, get Maximus, banish Apcalone, send Entis for Disruption, and Bastard for a search at the end phase. That's one of the reasons why I'm only running 1. As you can probably see, so it's less bricky, and it also pairs so well with Disciple of the Nadir. So then, obviously, 3 Shaddoll fusions, 3 El Shaddoll fusions, 3 super polymerizations, 2 Resh Shaddoll incarnations. Still a really powerful card, allowing you to essentially be a monster reborn for the deck and being able to flip your monsters up. As you can see, combos well, as I was able to banish my construct in order to get Maximus on the field and then bring it right back with Incarnation. And, you know, Construct's not once per turn. You can send as many cards as you want from your deck to the graveyard, as long as you keep finding ways to summon Construct. And then also 2 Shaddoll Ruck, which is, honestly, this card is amazing, and people do not give it enough credit. And people are starting to see, I think now that Dragma Invoked has become a thing, just how powerful this card is. During the main phase, you can use your graveyard to special summon a Shaddoll Fusion monster, and then send a monster on the field with the same attribute as the summoned monster. So what people are doing in the Invoked variant is they're sending Apcalone with Disciple, searching the Ruck, and then on their opponent's turn, fusing into Winda with Ruck, and there you go. It's an instant Winda in the Invoked variant, which is fantastic. So you basically are seeing people run 1 Ruck, 1 Apcalone, and I don't know if they're running any other Shaddoll monsters or if they have other dark targets, but yeah, so Shaddoll Ruck, an amazing card. Onto the extra deck. 3 Constructs. All the Dragma monsters are light, perfect synergy there. 3 Apcalone. I typically only run 1 Apcalone in my typical Shaddoll decks, but because of the way Dragma function, you really want 3, because yes, you do want to summon Apcalone to get some negation, but her effect to search and discard when she's sent to the graveyard is amazing. So you guys just need to, you know, run your Dragma monsters, basically. So 3 Apcalone, 2 Winda. You're not running as many dark targets in this deck, and Winda at 2 I think is perfectly fine. 2 Elder Entity Entis. This card pops a card when sent to the graveyard. You see it being run in decks that send cards from their extra deck to the graveyard anyway, so Entis is about to see a lot more play. I was originally running 3 Entis, but I decided to take out 2 for, I decided to take out 1 for 1 Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. Now this is the Fossil Fusion monster that can banish itself from the graveyard and target a monster on the field and destroy it. So that, it kind of... Okay, so banishing and targeting is a cost, so that is a way you can play around Called by the Grave. If you think your opponent has Called by the Grave, you can play around it like that. 3 Bastard the Ashen Dragon. This card's super interesting. So it requires Albus the Nihilus Filius and 1 monster with 2500 or more attack. It gains attack equal to the combined original levels of the material used for its fusion summon times 100. So already with Albus alone, you are getting a 100 beat stick, I believe. And then after its special summon for the rest of the turn, it's unaffected by the activated effects of other monsters special summoned from the extra deck. So that's really good. That helps you get around cards like Boral Sword. They can't change you to defense position, because let's say you use Albus and something like Maximus or a fusion monster, like Construct. Okay, well, I mean, they're all level 8, so it's all just the same boost. But you see the point here. You can become pretty beefy. And it also depends on what monsters your opponent has. If you use one of your opponent's monsters, then there you go. And then obviously there's its search effect. During the end phase, if it's in your graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can either take a Dragma monster or another copy of Albus and add it to your deck, add it from your deck to your hand, or just special summon it. So Bastard the Ashen Dragon is definitely a 3 of, and then the 1 Shaddoll Construct for the Link monster. I know I'm not running Cross Sheep. What am I thinking? I'm just thinking Shaddoll Construct does actually add a little something here, because with Wendy and Ariel, it's so much easier now to get 2 flip monsters on the field. And as you can see, you can manipulate your graveyard with Construct. If you have her in the grave, you can send one of your other fusions to the grave to get a search from the graveyard, or if it's App Cologne from the deck, and then also just being able to fusion summon using Construct and anything else is fantastic. So that is the deck, guys. This is what I think is potentially the best Shaddoll deck going forward using the Dragma archetype, which is ironic considering they lock you out of your extra deck, and they are an extra deck hate deck, I guess you could call it. But yeah, no, you guys have seen this deck has a lot of potential. So if you guys enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm definitely going to be refining this build, bringing more, getting advice and everything. And if you guys have any advice or suggestions for the deck, I'd love to hear it. So if you guys enjoyed today's content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more quality Yu-Gi-Oh! Content in the future. And be sure to ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, guys, this is Dylan the Shaddoll Duelist, signing out.